Og den har blitt senere utvidet slik at enhver som fornærmer den hellige profeten, og for oss, eller for muslimer, så i begrepet den hellige profeten, så mener man Muhammed. Og når jeg som muslim sier Muhammed eller Muhammad, så legger jeg egentlig til Allahs fred og velsignelse være med ham. Enhver som fornærmer den hellige profeten skal dømmes med døden, dømmes til døden, eller eventuelt livsvarig fengsel, livsvarig fengsel, som ytre strafferamme. Nå man inne på et kjernepunkt, fordi egentlig denne loven kunne lyde generell, men egentlig så den rettet mot Ahmadi-muslimene, fordi her går vi på et kjernepunkt i ulik oppfatning når det gjelder tro. Et skille mellom den store mengden av muslimer og Ahmadi-muslimene at den store mengden sier at Muhammed var den siste profet. Han Khataman Nabayin, profetenes seier. Og så sier de, det betyr at han var den siste profet. Vi sier, jo, han Khataman Nabayin, han profetenes seier, men i det ligger det at han den siste lovbringende profet, og det kan komme profeter etter ham, fordi vi kan ikke tro at Gud sluttet å snakke til menneskene for 1300-1400 år siden.
Although there is so much to be said, but I know the time is short, I'll only add a small thing to what I have already stated. What people from the outside world observe is much less than the tip of the iceberg. What goes on unreported in the press and unproved legally is far more than what is being seen on the surface. Thousands of Ahmadis in services have been discriminated against. Thousands who were given excellent reports by their officers in the army, in civil services, that you are the best officer so far. When the chance of their promotion comes, they say, sorry. They don't give him in writing, because you are an Ahmadi, we are not going to promote you. But invite him to their office. They say, are you ready to change your faith for the sake of a higher job? Of course the answer is no. He said, then what have you come to me for? Nothing can be done for you. And in this way, there are thousands of officers in the military and in the civil services which become so dejected, so despondent at what's happening, that they prefer to live in a free country rather than in a country in which there is a full record of excellent reports in their services, but when the chance of promotion comes, another inferior person is promoted instead of him. A discrimination is carried out in all educational institutions. To a degree, you can imagine what injury it would cause to young students whose utensils, plates, etc. are separated. They are made to sit separately on another table, not to sit as they consider themselves to be superior Muslims. They say, you have no right to mix with us, your plates are uncouth and filthy. No Muslim would eat in the plates used by you. While when they come to Europe, they use all the plates where swine is being eaten and use all the goblets where wine is being drunk. Nothing happens to their faith. But in Pakistan, the Ahmadi students are treated as less than scheduled castes are treated in India. Now this is not reported. There is no evidence. Which non-Ahmadi would come forward and say, this is what we are going to do, or we are doing to them. So the world outside does not see what is happening inside. Why should people leave the country unnecessarily? They are the same people who, prior to my departure from Pakistan, which happened about 7 years ago, they never came to other countries. Very few, very small trickle. They did not want to. So this is the compulsion. The untold story is far more tragic than the told story.
Jeg må få med avslutningen av det forrige, at Det finnes en egen religiøs domstol i Pakistan, og denne har sendt en henvendelse til den lovgivende forsamling om at muligheten for å gi dem en fengselsstraff for slike ting som å fornærme profeten, at det skal fjernes, slik at det bare skal være dødsstraff igjen. Så nevnte kalifen nå masse av de bitte små ting som ikke så dramatiske, og som folk egentlig hører lite om, men for eksempel det at i studentkantiner, så for amaldiene som studenter, de må sitte for seg selv, de får ikke lov å sitte sammen med de andre. Det tallerkene som de spiser blir satt for seg selv, så de ikke skal forurense eller skitne til de samme troende muslimer og så videre. Dette jo ting som vi kjenner til fra andre deler i verden, og opp gjennom vår egen historie også. Men slike ting opplever da tusenvis og egentlig millioner av Ahmadi-muslimer i Pakistan dagen.
I hope you have covered all the things I said. Yes, yes. Yes, please.
May I come back to the first question which
Yes.
the other gentleman asked?
Yes.
You said the rights as a citizen, for instance, the right to vote.
Yes.
If
Very interesting question. Yes.
they were deprived of that vote, was it also not possible for them, after the death of
Yes, right.
Riazat,
Yes, correct.
to form a political party and express their opinion, maybe in the years, I think, after 87?
Yes, you are absolutely right in partly suggesting in the form of this question that I should have also said this. You know, there is a very clever way of preventing Ahmadis from doing two things. Number one, using their right to vote politically in every sphere of political activity. And second, to normally go to other countries like other Pakistanis can. What they have done is, very cleverly, they have employed the condition that anyone who wants to be listed as a voter must sign papers. And those papers are of two types. Some papers are for Muslims only. And there, in those papers, every Muslim voter in Pakistan has to declare in writing that the founder of the Ahmadiyya community was a liar, an impostor, a false man who has nothing to do with truth. And I swear to this that this is my belief. Then, only then he can become registered as a Muslim voter. And in the non-Muslim form, they have to deny the oneness of God and the truth of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They cannot write the fundamental article of Muslim faith because they are considered to be non-Muslims. So no Ahmadi in the entire country is eligible to vote. So he is deprived from all political activities. He cannot form any pressure group. He cannot pursue others. If there were votes, of course, he could go to some possible future prospective member of the assembly and say, here are my votes, you please do me a favor in return. No more. As far as the visiting foreign countries is concerned, this is again community which has happened in Pakistan. Every passport of an Ahmadi shows that he is an Ahmadi. Ahmadi, Qadiani is stamped large. The result is that all Western embassies refuse visas to them. How the small trickle still manages? That is because wherever such measures are taken, corruption takes over and new devious ways are invented. So in all Western embassies there are corrupt officers who would be bribed by some agents, not by Ahmadis, by some agents with whom they are at one, they understand. So just for the sake of visa, some Ahmadis have to pay the exorbitant price of 75,000 per person. while the air cost